Hi, and welcome to the Keys to Therapy. Today's episode is all about theoretical orientations. So, I've been seeing a lot of questions recently from people who are in grad school or recently graduated who are asking about what theoretical orientation do you use, or what do you think I should be using, or what do I do if clients ask me about that, or stuff along those same lines, right? So obviously when you're in school, the majority of what you're going to be learning is going to be these theoretical orientations. So you're going to be learning about CBT and DBT and EMDR, like all the different letters and stuff, about different modalities of therapy, different ways of looking at therapy. You're going to learn about Freud. You're going to learn a lot about the history of different things. Erik Erikson and stages of development, and, tons and tons of different people, and then their modality or their theories or ways of practicing or techniques or whatever else. And then you're going to learn them all, and then you're going to maybe practice them in role plays and stuff in class, and then you're going to take a test on them. And then you're going to either continue to use some of it, the stuff you liked or didn't like. You'll throw out, you kind of put it all together in the way that you think you should, right? But for the most part, the way grad school works is you learn the things, you put it out there, in, like I said, these role plays, or that week that you just learned something, you try it when you're in your internship, or in your practicum, or in your role plays, or whatever it is that you're doing, right? So you'll learn the things, you'll try to do some of them, and you'll test it out. A lot of grad schools will have you even write a paper about what your theoretical orientation is. What kind of therapist are you? Are you a CBT therapist? Are you a DBT therapist? Are you I don't even know. There's so many different kinds. But basically they'll ask that. Are you developmental type? Are you a Freudian therapist? They'll go through all the different things, right? And so many students in grad school, and even soon after, feel this need to box yourself in. Some of that is because you end up having to write a paper on it or explain exactly what you're doing. Some of it is because, even for therapists who've been in for a while, sometimes insurances will ask you, what type of theoretical orientation are you using? And that's supposed to justify your care. But I think sometimes therapists get so caught up on, what am I using here? What am I as a therapist? And labeling themselves, and also so nervous about picking the wrong one or picking something that's not super marketable or profitable. I think other therapists feel like they need to have that definition of who they are so that they can explain it to clients, and they latch on to this identity of what type of therapist they are using these theoretical orientations. So they want to be able to say, I'm a CBT therapist. And any of the new therapists that I've met, mentored, been interviewed by, whatever else, almost all of them have asked, what's your theoretical orientation? And I get it, because again, school is so heavily focused on the history of things. But therapists who've been doing this for a while, ones who are maybe a little bit more established in the field, or have, prior experience, or have a lot of experience, even though they're early on in their careers, whatever it is. Therapists who've been doing it, we'll just categorize all of it as therapists who've been doing it for a while, have the ability to say, I do a little of everything for the most part, right? So you may clearly identify as a grad student with one type of modality, right? You may be like, CBT is it. Love this. This makes sense to me. Thoughts, feelings, behaviors, actions, the links, the cognitive distortions, perfect, makes sense. And that's great. And that's something, if you really relate to a certain orientation, take it, use it. But I think if you are struggling to find one that fits you, or you're nervous about boxing yourself into a specific type of thing, understand that the majority of therapists who've been out here who are doing these things, they aren't defining themselves by one modality. They don't only know or practice one modality. They may have a primary one that they use, but there's going to be other tools in their toolbox that they've collected over the years that they also use too. Also, for the most part, clients will not ask you what your theoretical modalities. They don't care. They just want to go to the person who they think is going to understand them, who's going to listen to them, who's going to help them. They aren't asking these questions. There will be a select few that either know a lot about psychology, studied it themselves, have a family member who's in it. They may be somebody who's maybe more cerebral, like they want the facts and the intellect, and that's what they're focused on, is like, what kind of tools you're going to be using with me? What is that called? What does that do? Those would be the people, if they are asking you those questions, understand that already as you're developing their treatment plan, most likely one of their goals may need to be to focus more on like the feelings and emotions and tune in with that. Some people just want to do a lot of research, right? So they want to find the therapist that says something about CBT on their website, or DBT specifically, because that one I see is in demand a lot. And that's fine, right? And that's where you can say, like, yeah, I primarily utilize DBT with clients, or DBT is a modality or a way of, conducting therapy sessions that I feel really comfortable in. And that's fine. But I think so many therapists, especially early on, feel this need to label themselves. And like I said, it kind of sometimes can make you feel comfortable, but it also can box you in and make you feel like, well, this is it. Like, I need to do all the CBT stuff. So most of the time, again, clients really don't care. They just don't. They don't know that much about it. They might not even want to know that much about it. They just want to be like, who during the consult call made me feel welcoming, or made me feel welcomed, like whose website spoke to me, stuff like that. Most of the time, they don't even know what all those letters mean. They don't care about it. You can bring it to them and educate them and, talk to them a little bit about it, but that's not the primary thing. So if you're a newer therapist out here, or maybe you're one who's been doing some work for a while, or attached yourself to a certain modality and it's not really fitting, or it doesn't really feel authentic to who you are, or you're feeling stifled by it. If you're somebody who is even thinking of going to grad school and you're feeling this pressure to be like, what type of therapist do I want to be? The number one indicator of how successful therapy is between the client and the therapist is that relationship. It's not so much what modality, it's not so much, is it in person, is it virtual, is it insurance, is it not? It's really what that relationship's like. Does the client feel seen and heard and validated? Do they feel like they're learning a lot from the sessions? Are they coming away with things that they can do in between sessions? Are they motivated? Do they feel like they can trust you? Are they able to open up to you? Do they feel heard and, supported? Those are the things that really indicate whether or not therapy is successful. So if you're feeling pressured, stuck, everyone's doing this type of therapy and that doesn't work for me, but like I feel like I should, don't fall into those traps. Just really take some time to learn about the different ones and shop around a little bit. Most therapists I know, especially the ones that are the most successful, are the ones who are really flexible with clients. Who you might come in and be like, we're going to do this worksheet today, and the client is not in space to do that. And it's like, okay, put this to the side. We'll maybe look at it next time. What's going on? And then work with them on that. The most successful therapists also have a very wide range of tools that they can use depending on the situation, because CBT is not going to work with every person or every issue. So take the time to really educate yourself on different types of things and pull out the pieces of each that you like. So, and this may go for trainings you take too. Like I know I took EMDR therapy because I was like, well, that one, a lot of people seem to love it. And at that point in my career, I was working with a lot of trauma. I was like, I think this could be really helpful. It could be marketable. It could be something that could be, a great tool for me to have. And when I took the training, I didn't love it. It felt very structured to me, and it felt just like something that didn't really flow with my style of therapy. So but it doesn't mean I just threw the whole thing away, right? That I tried to look at it and go, okay, well, I like the way that people, like in the beginning, they do this timeline. That may be helpful for certain clients who are trying to understand like why it got to this point. I really liked the stage of resourcing and figuring out what different tools can clients use and how to help them, whether they're feeling like really dysregulated, or how to help end a session and use like the container exercise or whatever else. So I took bits and pieces of it that I still occasionally use now. and then continue to search for the modalities that seem to fit or the just different things I wanted to know more about. So at this point, I think, again, look at wherever you are in your career. We should always be like learning, searching, trying to figure things out because things are constantly changing and we're learning more information. And as we grow as people, we're also going to be more attracted to certain types of work or certain modalities might make more sense at different phases of our life, or other things that we're like, why did I care so much about the worksheets for CBT? Like, I need to do something that's more creative and artistic. And then you start learning about different, like maybe it's like somatic experiencing and you're focused way more on the body than the mind. So keep an open mind, especially for the newer therapists who are like, I need to write this paper on what type of therapist I am. I need to be able to write this on my resume or share this in a job interview. And for the most part, people won't ask you much about that. They want to know who you are and they want to know how you work. And they want to know, again, that you're trustworthy and you make sense and you'll call them out when they need to be called out in a nice way. Or a not so nice way if that's what the person needs. So just try not to get so stuck on what you should be doing or how things should be. Because for the most part, like I said, you're going to be a pretty eclectic therapist. You're going to have a ton of different things, books you recommend, podcasts you listen to, YouTube stuff that you love for clients. Like there's going to be a wide assortment of things that are going to help you feel comfortable, but also be able to help your clients at different stages of their lives or different clients with different issues that they're experiencing. So if you're feeling freaked out about defining yourself as a therapist, just take a step back from the theories and really look at how you present yourself and how you do your best work, and then seek out the trainings or education or books or resources on that type of stuff. Don't focus so much on what seems to be the most marketable or whatever else. Focus on what actually makes sense for you and how you work and how you're going to want to sustain yourself in this field. And burnout is so high, it's really important to be able to pick a way of working that works for you. And it also will come off more authentically to your clients. If that's how you're presenting yourself, they'll be able to tell that you're more comfortable with what you're using or what you're recommending. So don't get stuck on the paper and the titles and the letters. You'll be okay. Just really think through who you want to be and how you work best, and then go that direction instead of forcing yourself into a box or a label. So be an eclectic therapist. It's fun. Well, I know this video is short and sweet, to the point. But I feel like, again, I'm seeing a lot of anxious posts. So if you were one of those people who has felt that pressure, is feeling stressed, just know that it's okay to be pretty flexible in what you're doing, especially in the beginning. But I think the best therapists stay flexible throughout their career because things change. So being open to that is going to really serve you and your clients in the future. Well, if you want to stay up to date on future videos, hit subscribe below, support the channel, be grateful. I also have an email list down there and a Facebook group for newer therapists. So whatever resources call to you, click them. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.